Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. We're live here at Adventure Unknown in Fenton, Missouri. If you haven't been out to Adventure Unknown yet and you're in the St. Louis area, you're an entrepreneur, you're someone that's looking to build your network with incredible people at an awesome place with great amenities that's always having different events, this is the place to be. So send me a message. Would love to show you around here, even show you the studio that we have here where we are working with Punchline Productions to produce all these episodes and have amazing shows like we do today. So again, if you're interested in having a conversation or coming to see Adventure Unknown, we'd love to have you here. I'm joined today by a returning guest, and we have an exciting announcement. We shared it earlier this week on Monday at the time of this recording, but Brad Starnes with Talent Fuze is here joining me today to chat about how he sold Screamin Cow Marketing Group to us over at Builders of Authority. We'll also talk a little bit about what Talent Fuze does and kind of what his vision is for the company moving forward. So diving into everything, live business as it relates to the sale, how it happened, some key takeaways of what we've learned throughout the process, because on my side and on his side, both the first time us navigating this. So Brad, welcome back to the show, and I guess congratulations, first time seeing you since it's official.
I know. We've been doing it all online, and I always tell people that know that you and I are both here in St. Louis. I'm like, Adam lives 8 minutes from me, but we've probably seen each other 4 times in the last 3 years in person.
It's kind of one of those things I don't see people unless I'm here or doing the other stuff, and it's even when I'm here, and sometimes people are like, hey, and I'm like, I know some people come up here to network and just chill and hang out, but I'm usually up here because I'm doing podcasts or meetings or whatever. But it's funny, man. So tell people kind of where you had kind of started Talent Fuze, because obviously I tell people all the time is people that listen to the podcast maybe probably didn't listen to our live that we did the other day. So kind of start with the idea of Talent Fuze, all that stuff, and then where we're at today.
Yeah, so where it kind of began was, I've had my agency that you guys acquired, and had gotten to a point through my agency, I had other agencies that were reaching out and asking us hey, we need developers to help us do this or do that. And so I would go and hire talent primarily in the Philippines to basically help provide support for these agencies. So a good chunk of my business up until early of last year was all white label work to agencies. And last year I took that pivot into going direct into home service companies. You helped me kind of go through that transition and everything. And so it kind of got to the point where towards the end of last year, my son was born in November. I say fortunate, but also unfortunate that he was in the NICU, because it actually opened up my eyes to a lot of things, gave me some time to reflect and all that stuff. And took kind of the last month of the year, just kind of not off, but kind of just deep thinking and all that stuff. And was trying to get back into the mode of all right, first of the year, going to hit the ground running with my agency. And then I was I don't know if I'm ready to do that. And so kind of went into a bunch of deep thinking. You and I had early conversations of this year of kind of some things I had going on personally, everything like that. And you've talked a lot about that, ideal client exercise, the top 10 clients, your best 10 clients, your 10 most recent clients, all that stuff. And when I kept going through that exercise, I kept coming back to the agencies that I was working with with my agency as white label partners. And I was well, I think that's the route I want to go. But the problem beforehand was that I was constantly chasing invoices because they were waiting to get paid by their clients to then pay me and everything like that. And as you know, the game of monthly recurring revenue is really where it's at. And so it happened, a matter of a couple of weeks. You and I had our first conversation. Then I come back 2 weeks later, and I'm like, Adam, here's the idea. Here's what I'm going with. And I think first client was within 2 weeks after that. And so it moved pretty quickly. And so from there, then I think I even said to you, Adam, I want to do both of these. And we were talking about me doing that. And that was the initial goal. And then life got in the way this year. And it was just the point where I couldn't do both. But that was kind of how Talent Fuze was born. and all that. What's ironic about it is when I left my sales job in April of 23, I had an offer to go work for a company similar to Talent Fuze, but they work with primarily software companies and everything like that. And I recall telling my wife, I'm going to go take this job so I can learn how they do the ins and outs of hiring offshore and everything like that. And I'm going to go do this for agencies. And then she's like, no, I don't think you should go work there, blah, blah, blah. I think you should go all in on this, what's always been a side hustle is your agency. It's like looking back now, it's kind of like, should I have just done it,
Full circle.
how many years ago? But at the same time, because I've now been in the agency world, I've learned kind of the ins and outs of the agency world and everything like that. So
yeah. So how's it pivoted from you kind of doing it where you were white label, where you're like, hey, I was kind of going and doing that things, to now, how did you guys quickly build all the processes and systems for like the interview process of like all of that?
It's kind of funny. So my first business, we were so focused on product delivery systems, everything, 18 months to build the product and raise funds and everything like that. Launched it, product market fit wasn't there, ran out of cash very quickly. Then with my agency, it was kind of like I was trying to do the processes first and was constantly focused on operations processes. Then let me go find the clients.
Yeah.
So then with this, and Karen, who you know is on my team, like whenever we finally decided like we're going to go forward with Talent Fuze, she began like trying to figure out how to build out process. And I'm like, no, Karen, like we got to find the first client first. And she was like, but you've always done it this way. I'm like, no, I'm doing things differently this time. So we went out and closed our first client. I remember I was actually sitting at a bread co. I got the notification they paid, and I messaged her. I was like, hey, we need to hop on a call because we need to figure out like how the hell we're going to do this. Because we had done it for us internally, but it was like, okay, now how do we
do it for other people?
And so I kind of just told her like, hey, you've been helping me do this. Like, you kind of create the whole process. And so we had worked with like a VA firm in the past. We kind of saw some of their processes. So we kind of used a little bit of that as like our foundation, but then really kind of made it our own. And even since then, it's kind of ever evolving. Like one of the things we're doing now is every time somebody from our team meets with a VA that's with one of our agencies, Karen or somebody from our team sends a recap email to them letting them know, hey, we met with your VA, here's what we talked about, here's the resources we gave them, and then like here's what we're looking forward to the next month. That way, when they look at their bill each month, they're kind of like, okay, I'm seeing the value aspect of it. And then we're doing weekly training. So now we have like a form that we're going to have the VAs like check in with us when they attend the training. It's going to automatically email whoever their direct report is through whatever agency they're with to let them know like, hey, just to let you know, John Doe attended this training. And so we're kind of building this plane as we're flying it. So that's a lot of the cool things we're implementing now is like trying to really make sure that communication is 100% and that there's a lot of value being provided. And so at first there really was no process. Like we just did it. And so now it's amazing the fact that like from the moment somebody has an onboarding call, it's 21 days on average till their first hire. And so, I mean, it is grinding for the team to try to find that talent and everything. We're doing virtual interviews. They're going through disc profile tests before they even talk to our team. Our team's interviewing them. We're now looking at introducing like skills tests as well to make sure that if they say like, I know go high level or I know this, like they actually do know what they're talking about. Because a lot of the questions we ask them are very like
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's also like we don't tell them, we don't ask them for somebody who's going to run Google ads. We don't ask them like, hey, how do you set up a Google ad campaign or a PMAX campaign, right? It's more so like, hey, your cost per acquisition on an account goes from $50 to $200 overnight. How are you going to figure out what happened and like tell us what you would do? And the point there is, one, you kind of get to know that they know the platform through the way they tell you they're thinking about the problem. And that's really what we want to know is, can they actually think of the problem? Because last thing we want as agency owners is to be the one that they're constantly coming to and saying, hey, this is broken, I don't know what to do, or it not being caught. And then you have a client that's pissed off and is reaching out and saying, hey, Adam, why did my cost per acquisition 4X overnight? Which does occasionally happen depending on various factors on that case. So,
So I think one of the biggest aspects that you kind of mentioned there is that with that, you kind of just took it and ran with it and didn't have to go like perfect the system and go do this and go do that. So that's impactful, right? I think one of the biggest things that people do is they overthink the process and the system. As you mentioned, you've done it the other way, right? So what are some things outside of what you already shared? What are some things that you have learned about doing it that way versus what you've always done?
Yeah, it's one of those things like I always wanted to get it right because I didn't want to lose clients or I didn't want to upset clients and anything. So when we were first going through and I think probably our first 7 or 8 accounts that we sold, on the agreement, it said our training portal and our weekly trainings and our SOPs coming soon in parentheses on it. So I actually gave them the first couple clients a discount because those hadn't came yet. It was hey, I need time to ramp up for our team to do this and all that stuff. And so it's one of those things looking back, it's most people get it. We've all built something from nothing before. And I'm part of this agency mastermind. It's one thing that they celebrate every agency owner that's been at 10K MRR, 20, 30, 40, all up to $1 million, $2 million a year, and even beyond that. And they always say we all begin at the same place. And so I was always so worried about, even with my agency, I was so worried about what clients would think about, have we done the SEO campaign before? What are our results? All that stuff when we were using white label at the time. And it's usually those first couple customers don't care. They want to help and give you a chance and everything like that. And that's a lot of what we've seen. And now those same customers are seeing a lot of those changes and everything we're implementing. Even some of our clients, we have one client that's now I think hired 7 or 8 VAs with us. And so wow. They went from 1 to now 7 or 8. And so that they've been seeing the changes evolve as we're interviewing and going through the processes where now these recap emails, she was wow, you guys haven't done this before. This is awesome that now you're doing that. And so that's the cool aspect is you get to talk with your customers and really learn and get their feedback and everything like that. That was one thing with my first business we did not do is really talk much of our customers. We only talked to one customer, which that was an app that allowed roommates to share payments. So we just talked to the roommate who's always getting effed over by fronting the bill for people, right? And we never talked to the other roommates who were taking advantage of that. So that's one thing I've been very hyper-focused on is let's not just talk with the agency owner, but let's also talk with their team members that work for them. And the same problems that an agency that's doing $500K to $1 million a year are going to be different problems than somebody who's doing a $2, $3, $4, $5 million agency. And so the way they see the value in your services as well is completely different because somebody's going to look at our mid-level plan and say I can't justify that investment with where I'm at versus somebody who's got 35 US people and they're looking to just provide support with offshore talent to their US team. They look at that and the cost of offshore and they're that's a drop in the bucket. And so things like the automated messages of they attended this training, that agency owner that has the 35 US team members, they don't need those messages in their inbox. They don't care, right? Yeah. But their team members who that offshore talent pairs with would see benefit in that. So we're kind of doing things like that and having conversations there to make sure that we're not overloading people with communications, but we're getting it to the right people and everything like that. So
yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And it's cool to have seen it go from where it officially started, but even before that, the ideation, obviously around it to where it's at right now and all the different evolutions, which kind of gets us up to, where we're at today, which of course this week we announced the acquisition of your agency to us at Builders of Authority. So talk to us about the moment where you were hey, I do want to just focus on Talent Fuze.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd gotten an acquisition offer, what was that, when I first told you about it, March, April, May of this year. And I wasn't ready for it. Obviously, we're running the agency. The agency's what's paid my bills, kept the roof over our head up until now. And so it's then you look at that aspect and it's the offer I had, it was I had 2 months to basically figure shit out to then have what I would pay myself come out of the Talent Fuze book. So I was
sure.
Not the right timing. I just I wasn't ready to let go at that point. I was nope, I'm doing this, running both at the same time. And then it hit the point, people who are connected to me on Facebook, whatever, you've seen it, you've been involved with it. My son was in the PICU, my wife in the hospital, my son went back in the PICU, my son was back in the hospital again, but general observation for. And so it was just life kept hitting. Had a client cancellation in the agency and another client cancellation. It was okay, now I'm where I'm at. And so then towards the end here in the last 8, 12 weeks, my core team member who was running a lot of it, he found a different opportunity. I was paying well, gave him more freedom, everything like that. And so it was I had a choice, either get back into fulfillment myself, hire somebody else on to be that core person to keep running things, or look at an exit. And so then at that point, I was kind of looking at all the different factors, look at the fact that like I was exhausted between everything. I've been doing like, I joked in my post the other day, like 2, sometimes 3 energy drinks a day because I've just kind of been like running between everything. And obviously that's probably reverse psychology there. And is it not? It's not helping me compared to what you think it is, right? But that was kind of like what all went into it. And so when I finally decided like, I'm going to do this, before I launched Talent Fuze, I met with like probably 25 to 30, 40 agency owners, like back to back 1 week. Was like, if you've worked with VA agencies before, what's the pain points? What problems have you had? What did you like? What didn't you like? Or if you've not hired offshore, why haven't you? Like all those different conversations. Again, trying to get a wide breadth of like every agency owner I could talk to. And through that, a bunch of people who said, well, are you keeping your agency or what's going on there? And I was like, yeah, like right now I'm going to keep it. Well, if you ever decide to sell, reach out to us. So when I decided that, okay, this is the moment, I reached out to every single person. I think it was either right at a dozen or maybe it was 10 or 11 different offers that came through, in addition to one that I got March, April, May of this year. And so then at that point, it just came down to like looking at the different factors of like, there's potential of more money short term, more money long term. There's, keeping a roof over my head right now, like those types of things. And so there was a lot of factors that I had to think about and everything there. There's a lot of people that I trust. There's people who I had no clue who they were, that we were just friends on Facebook or whatever. And they happened to be one of the ones that I interviewed. And so got an offer from them. And so that's kind of how it all happened, and happy to chat through kind of those offers and all that too if we need to.
Yeah. So I guess like how did you kind of walk through every option on the table?
Yeah. A lot of it was, for me, like the most important aspect was making sure my clients were taken care of. That was one thing that I wanted to make sure that whoever I sold to, that like my clients didn't go backwards. There's no point of me, in my opinion, going through an exit or an acquisition if clients are taken care of. And so that weeded out what I felt like about half of the people. A few of them I just didn't know well. So it was like, okay, like let's just get them out of the bunch. And then it came down to, I was looking at like the amounts. And, one of the things that many people do or don't know is when I left my job in April of 23, depending on my wife's income, she got laid off in June. And so then we basically went right back to where we were at when I closed down the last business, ton of debt and everything. Thankfully, I was able to position things where a lot of that sat on the agency books rather than personal. And so it was more so like, how can I just walk away clean? So that was a lot of it. But the other aspect is like, up until now, like this month is going to be the first month, and we're 4 or 5 months old, first month that I've actually paid myself out of Talent Fuze. And so I've been reinvesting all the funds possible into more team members and growth and everything like that. And so the biggest factor for me was looking at it like, okay, some of these offers may pay out more, but I get less now short term, and I need something to kind of bridge that gap if worst case something happens, right?
Sure.
And so like one of the things, and I won't get into details on our offer, but it was like there was some high upside, there was some risk on there on both sides, right? And so like one of the risk factors for me was like, if things don't work out, worst case scenario for everything, my income gets cut in half, right? And so that was something I had to look into. And then my wife was like, well, I don't want you signing those papers until you find that income to replace on the Talent Fuze side of things. And then like a couple of days go by and I'm like thinking about it, going to the gym first thing in the morning. I tried to do like sauna type thing, all that stuff, and like thinking about it. And I kept getting this feeling of like, you have to test the process, and like almost in a way that it was testing my faith to see how far I could go before that next door opened. And so I just was like, I told her that, like, I feel like our faith's being tested here. And so I signed the papers, and I kid you not, within like a week or two, like that half of that income that I needed to find all of a sudden showed up on the Talent Fuze side of things, right? And so it was like, okay, like this was the right move to make and everything there. But that was a lot of what went into it, and trying to choose the correct offer, the right offer, and everything like that, on everything. So
yeah, no, it's I remember you saying like, hey, I kind of need to build this up still for a little bit, and then it started to happen, and then you started to get more momentum, and we'll only continue to get more momentum as well, because like I think one of the things that a lot of people that I even had to learn back in 2021 when I was still and even for about a year and a half, I was literally the one as the CEO of the auto glass company, where it's like I had that, then I have the agency, and both require the same role of me, but the agency obviously needed a lot more of my attention. Yeah. Well, then the auto glass company started to struggle because there was no one actually running the company from a CEO or owner level. And so the longer you do that, and then the more success that each of them have, ideally, the more complex it becomes. So you either have to sell, you have to bring in somebody that has skin in the game. Yeah. So an employee turned part owner. I mean, there's a lot of different options to go do, but if you don't do it quickly, things will begin to crumble, and there will be that ripple effect. So it's cool to see, I think, how quickly it came to a mutual benefit for, I think, obviously the both of us, because for us it was like, hey, like a lot of the same industries that we work in, it's a win-win opportunity, risk and upside on both ends. But we had the capability from a team standpoint to say, hey, we can go do this, and walk through the process of like, what does this look like for us to be able to do potentially again in the future, but do it with somebody obviously that I know, like, and trust, and has it to where it's like, you know, we've been going back and forth for a month now, but going back and forth more the last couple of weeks, just making sure we have everything in order, right? Because like, there's so many things you forget about, right? And so doing it in that way where it's like, hey, this is what we're going to do, but know that like we're both going through this for the first time, and we're going to learn stuff along the way, and then it sets us up both for success moving forward of being like, hey, what does bigger opportunities look like? What is trying to figure out like how you build this thing to the next time you sell it for X, Y, and Z. And so all those different things, I think, at least for me, have been like, okay, hey, I'm learning this, I'm learning this, I'm learning this.
Yeah, and I even had a guy reach out to me, I think it was yesterday, that was like, hey, saw the exit, this and that. I'm unhappy with my agency. I feel like I wake up every day and just don't want to do it, and all those different things. And some different conversations that like you and I had. And so like he was like, I had these other ideas and I want to go pursue those, but I'm also like, is that shiny object syndrome? Is it not? Like that type of thing. And so like I think it was back in like October, November of last year, Karen actually brought the idea behind Talent Fuze to my attention. I was like, no, like that's shiny object. And so it's funny seeing everything now. But what I told him is like, I just had to take that leap, and then kind of like God, universe, whatever, showed me the rest of that way. But then what I was really trying to decide, because your point of like, you got these two businesses, one's going to pull more attention than the other. The agency was beginning, because that core team member left, to pull out more of my attention. Well, then I was looking at the numbers, and I'm sure you remember this. There was months I would call like a drought that I went through where I wasn't closing new clients in the agency. And then I'd close 2 or 3 in a month. And then I'd go months without closing people. And so through conversation, you and I would have those conversations, and we'd see that versus like, and obviously we're early on Talent Fuze, but like, there's not been a single month that we've not had new clients, and we've increased our new revenue each month, except for the month of June when I was out for 2 weeks. Like that was the only month that we've not increased. We still added new revenue that month. It just wasn't that bump that we're seeing every single month. Yeah. And so I had to then look at it of like, okay, this is taking off so much faster than this did. Things like the agency had these months of a drought. This has not yet. Obviously, it's early on, like that type of thing. But just like the early indicators were indicating something. And so like what I told him is like, the best you can do is, one, you got to figure out, is it the agency you don't love, or is it the hats that you're wearing in the agency you don't love? And then from there, if you find out it's the agency you don't love, figure out an exit plan, all that stuff. But if it's the roles, like the hats, find people to hire and delegate those things off to. Otherwise, then before you go sell, try to figure out what the next thing is. Try to launch it, get that revenue in the door, prove the concept before you just go exit and I don't know what's next kind of thing. And so that's kind of the route that I took, and I'm glad that I went that path, not knowing that was fully the path that we were going to do here. So
yeah, well, and that's where I think it kind of goes back to, as you mentioned, you almost like went and worked for a company doing this years and years ago, and said, okay, hey, maybe I could actually just go start doing this in the agency space instead. But now that you've done the agency stuff, you can better serve and sell and provide solutions to agency owners. Hey, I went from, at some point, right, that guy as an example may say, hey, you know what? It's not even about the hats. I just went out of the agency.
Yeah.
So you can say, hey, here's what I did. Here's my process. But for the people that do want to still do this and still do it, it's like, hey, but here's my solution. And so I think I love your approach of, hey, this is who we serve. This is how we do it. And here's my story. And you'll have endless amounts of content to be able to create about the reality of what it's like to run an agency, both without a team and value-added benefits to doing what you guys are doing.
Well, there was even times like you would talk like, that you guys would get 3 to 5 leads a day on some days for your agency, right? When my agency, I was sitting there like, how the hell is Adam doing this? Like, where are these like personal brand, inbound leads, everything like that? I'm beginning to see those days now with Talent Fuze, and we're only 4.5, 5 months in, right? And so, like, I'm looking back at everything. It's almost like, why didn't I do this sooner? Type thing, like all that stuff. But it's one of those things. Like, if it's the way, if that's the direction, like you'll begin to see those things pick up pretty quickly and everything. Like, I'm having to force myself to not be online on my phone, like after core working hours, I can be with my wife and my son because I'm getting messages like crazy in the evenings and inbound leads, and I get tagged in a Facebook group, and now I'm getting a bunch of people reaching out to me and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, I'm finally seeing what you were talking about over the last couple of years, but it's because of that kind of foundation I laid with the personal branding aspect that now I saw the fruits of the labor in a way with the agency, but now I'm really beginning to see it with Talent Fuze. So
that's awesome. So what are you like? I know we talked a lot about like where it started, the agency stuff, the sale now, everything you've been doing since. Like, what are you building for the future? What are you most excited about?
So the unique aspect of Talent Fuze is like we're teaching people how to delegate, right? So I have to force myself to learn how to delegate better, because if I'm doing certain activities and I'm then preaching for agency owners to not do those activities, right? Like, so I got to preach it. And so, which is also that chicken and eggs situation. So my goal is to get to a point, and we're basically there for the most part. Like, again, I say I was unlucky but lucky. My son's been in the hospital this year, how many times? But because of that, it's forced me to like tell Karen and the team, figure it out. Figure it out. And like, I don't have time for this. And so they, like, once I sell an account, they run it for the most part. And there's things like, where's like a client right now is looking to hire like a WordPress developer that can build like custom themes, needs to know PHP, all that stuff. Something Karen and the team doesn't have expertise in, I have a little bit in. Okay, I'm going to jump in for that situation. But like, I'm keeping a log of like these things that like, okay, eventually I need to hand this hat off. So like, I need to have somebody eventually on board who is very good at WordPress development, knows code, all that stuff, so they can help in that area. So like, I'm looking at those things. And so, for me, it's making sure that we're running a machine where like, delegation is the whole thing aspect of it. Eventually I would love to get to a point where like I have my hands in multiple pots again, just like this season of life, it's not there. So my focus with Talent Fuze is like get it to a point where like I can have the opportunity to put my hands in multiple pots and everything like that. We're already at, right now, I think we have just over 30 VAs that we've helped hire.
Nice.
My initial first goal is for us to, by the end of this year, I want us to help hire 100 people. So like that's where we're training to. We got end of August. We got a couple months left. So I mean, we got a lot of work to do there, but that's my initial goal. And for me, it's all about the impact and like how many more people can we help and help find jobs. There's people who have worked with me in the past who like was a developer working for one of those agencies who told me that like he and his wife were only able to afford IVF because of the opportunity that we gave them. And like, IVF's not cheap here in the U.S. Imagine being in a third world country where money's not as fluid and like you don't have as much access to it as you do here in the U.S. And so to me, impact's a huge thing there. And then ultimate goal through all of this is to be able to bring my wife home from work. That's kind of been my goal this year to work towards. And as you know, what I've been working my ass off for and everything like that. And so I don't know if we'll do it by the end of this year, but hopefully by mid next year, something like that. It's kind of where it is. We're looking at there, looking to build more of like a ecosystem of people. And so a connection for agency owners to connect. But at the same time, if, we have 50 developers that do WordPress as an example. There's no point of this model if they can't then collaborate and everything like that. So building some of those pods in which they have peers to reach out to if like somebody's asking for this and they don't know how to do it, that they not only have us to lean on to, they have a peer of people. So it's kind of like a mastermind in a way for these VAs. And so we're building out all those processes to everything like that. And then next year, we're going to build out a client portal, which from the agency world, we hate client portals because we build them and like nobody looks at them. But I want that to be where like we have a lot of AI running a lot of things where we use AI, which we're already using a little bit, but to match resumes, portfolios, all that stuff with job recs and what they're looking for, but then be able to show in a portal to our agency owners what trainings they've attended, all those things, even show an ROI in comparison to like what you're saving each month to hiring here in the US, or since our model's different and we don't mark up the wages for the VAs like your traditional VA firm was, then showing like an ROI savings cost comparison to your traditional VA agency. And so those are a lot of things that we're looking at for next year. How can I build out that custom portal? I've gotten into like the AI builder apps and everything, and I'm like, this just isn't good enough. So I'm like, not going to do that this year. And so like what I mentioned right now with the forms and stuff, we're building all of that on like our entire recruiting system's built on high level right now. So like when an applicant applies and submits their resume, it's connected with OpenAI on the back end, sends their resume, analyzes it, sends it back to us. Like all that's connected through high level. And so like it's great for what we're doing now, but it's not client facing. So eventually I want a lot of that to be client facing as well on there too. So
that's awesome, man. That stuff's exciting. I'm pumped for you, man. I appreciate you trusting me and my team to be able to take it over. But you know, it's for me, right? Like I have a lot of different stuff going on. If it weren't you, it probably wouldn't have done it, right? But I'm glad that we did do it. I'm glad to see you. Like we've had conversations like you showing up, just even more excited than you already were because you're in this thing and you're like, man, we're going to go do it. And as you mentioned, like you're already seeing the leads flow in, you're already seeing some of that progress. But the big thing that I want everybody to listen to there is like, it's very similar to how, now it's a little bit different of a story, but it's very similar to how when I relaunched Builders of Authority or launched Builders of Authority the first time, just in the mastermind component versus the agency last October, is it went off like a rocket ship with the agency, but it was really built up to the last years and years worth of stuff of building the personal brand. With Talent Fuze, it hit home for so many people because you owned an agency and we're owning an agency at the time and people need it, right? Yep. So like, it wasn't that Brad wasn't doing the work before. It's just the agency space is very competitive, convoluted, and all that stuff. So it takes longer to do something like that versus you have your life and your agency and your business as an example of what the impact of what you're selling now can do. And that's what's cool to see, is to see it finally freaking pay off.
And I would say, like, looking back, I even thought to myself, like, man, I wish these first 4 months, 5 months, I would have done this differently, that differently. Like, I have a tool that we found that, like, automatically adds agency owners that are part of an agency group as friends on Facebook, that we have over 25 mutual friends together. They're here in the U.S. So, like, the odds of them not being my ideal client is pretty slim because of the mutual friends and all that stuff. But now that's probably where I'm seeing a lot of that uptick in people is through things like that. They're seeing my content, personal brand. So that I'm like, oh shit, what I should have done when I announced it back in April, I should have had this thing running for the couple of weeks that we were doing all the planning and talking and having private conversations with people then. So then when I announced it, I had 4, 5, 10,000 people who were able to see it on there. And so like I look back, it's like hindsight's 2020 can do that. But then I'm like, okay, like now I have this in place. I have all these agency owners I'm becoming friends with and connect with on Facebook. If 2 years, 3 years, 10 years from now, I launch something else. Well, let's say it's another company like Talent Fuze or a SaaS tool, whatever it may be. I'm going to see that like curve even better than I did this time. Again, because of the personal brand and the foundation and everything, it's laid for me. So.
That's awesome, man. Well, where can people stay connected with you and learn more about Talent Fuze?
I'm on every social platform. I say but X because like it's like the one app I don't have on my phone. But you can find me online there. Connect me LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those different things. You can also email me at brad@talentfuze.io. And we'll be more than happy to get back into a response. I don't have an EA right now because she got pulled into the talent acquisition side of things. We've been growing so fast. So my email response may be a little bit delayed, but otherwise happy to connect. So
love it. Well, again, thank you for everybody for watching or listening to today's episode. Make sure you go connect with Brad, especially if you're an agency owner or you're looking for strategic marketing roles inside of your company. I've seen what he's building. I know the people that he's working with. I know his team. So definitely vouch for him and his team and everything that they're doing at Talent Fuze. So make sure to stay connected with him. Stay along for the journey. It's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do with Talent Fuze. I know this is just starting to scratch the surface. If you're listening to this, make sure to leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. If you're watching the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Remember, authority isn't built overnight. It's built over time.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.